Hello. Welcome to the latest AVST Unifying Communications webinar. Today we're going to focus on getting the most out of your smartphone deployment, and we're going to look at the CallXpress solutions that revolve around communications on your mobile devices. There's no doubt that the percentage of employees who are defined as mobile grows every year in the U.S. The number stands now around a third of the employees being mobile in one fashion or another. This might be home workers, this might be people who travel, this might be people who actually work in remote regions and never even go into their office. But for all of them, the challenges are the same: keeping in touch with their customers, their coworkers, and even the enterprise data in the same manner as an employee who is at the home company can do with the applications that are laid out at the desktop. If you look at the current use for mobile devices, there's no doubt that between telephone use and access to email and groupware, the majority of the functionality for mobile devices focuses just in those areas. There are other applications, but they tend to be very point solution specific, and not as much goes on in those areas as probably would be useful. However, if you look at that same group of people and you ask what it is they'd like to deploy in the next 2 years, unified communications comes to the top of the list. Basically, the ability to unify the existing systems they have today is a recognized need in most enterprises, both at the desktop and for mobile customers. The CallXpress architecture makes it a natural component of any unified communication solution. The interoperability with all of the external applications, email, business applications, presence applications, and certainly the telephone systems, make it a natural place to build the applications that tie these components together. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at what you can do to help mobilize your workforce from a CallXpress functionality point of view. We're going to mention a few things only briefly, and then we're going to go into a little more detail about some of the newer applications that we feel you might not really have much awareness of. If you look at the basic mobile features available on CallXpress, it includes the ability to support things such as single number reach, single mailbox, mobile number protection, interactive call screening. There's a very powerful speech interface. Obviously, we've been doing unified messaging on mobile devices for quite a while, and then voicemail to text. And the way we do these is a combination of the inherent functionality of CallXpress and the new clients. We have a web phone manager client, a mobile web phone manager client, and the new CallXpress mobile clients. We're going to take a look at all of those today. Single number reach is probably a good starting point for this functionality. If you go back 15 years, the average business person had a phone number. It might have been a DID or it might have been a general number through an operator, but they could give a customer a business card and they could be reached by that customer by the customer dialing a single number. Now things are considerably more complicated. People tend to have at least 2 numbers, which would be their main business number and their mobile number. Some people have multiple mobile numbers, and some might even have a home office number and a business number. And while you can hand out that business card with all of those numbers listed and expect your customer to dial through that list to find you, that's not always the best way to treat a customer. So the goal for single number reach is publish a single number for your customers to use, and then you maintain the rules and technology needed so that that single number can always find you. And we do single number reach within our system better than anyone else. Once CallXpress has received that call and we've identified the recipient, we have a powerful set of personal assistant features that have full find me, follow me capabilities. Not only can you define how that call will be treated, but the user themselves can change that on the fly using speech commands, a mobile web client, and the new CallXpress web client. So we do about the best job out there for single number reach, and the powerful piece is the fact that it's integrated in with all of the rest of the functionality we'll talk about today. But this is the starting point. We give out a single number, CallXpress answers the call, and has all the power to route that call to match whatever a user's particular needs are. The next powerful piece is single mailbox. For many business users, they receive some phones perhaps in their home office on an answering machine. They receive some phone calls at work and it's in their corporate voicemail. They receive some messages in their mobile voicemail. And after coming out of a meeting, they have quite a job to collect all of their different messages from their email client and all their voicemail boxes. By architecting a solution correctly, all of those calls can end up in one voicemail system. And that's what we do with CallXpress. When you're correctly programmed in CallXpress and your customer calls you on your mobile device, that message ends up in the CallXpress message store. Now that message store may be in your email server, may be pushed to your mobile device, but it's just one message store. That same customer calls you on your business phone, that same call is forwarded as well, and the end result is all of your messages are in a single place. And if you've included unified messaging in the configuration, that means all your voice, fax, and email messages are all in one client, one location. That's a powerful productivity tool. Mobile number protection is one of the newer features that's getting a lot of publicity these days. And there's a couple of concepts here. The biggest one is the charges for mobile numbers can easily get out of hand. Once you give your mobile number to a customer, not only are they very likely to call that first, because they'll figure out you always have your mobile phone with you, but they're also very likely to call that whenever they feel like it, including at times when perhaps you don't want to take calls. So by combining single number reach and a few other functions we'll look at after this slide, we have a mobile number protection scheme that's very powerful. So what you give out when you have CallXpress is the enterprise phone number. The enterprise phone number is the same for all the employees at a particular site. That customer calls, they're prompted to speak your name, and that call is routed once again through the single number reach engine to whatever device you feel is appropriate. Might go to your desk, might go to your mobile phone, might go straight to voicemail. All those rules are under the user's control. And that's the first part of mobile number protection, is we give the customer one number and then we give the user control of how that number is treated. The second and equally important part of mobile number protection is taking a call when it's made and putting in place of your mobile number that single number that you're publishing. So if you look at the advantages of making a call through this application, it's pretty easy to see it's pretty easy to see the outcome. Mobile number protection means you will call through CallXpress to all of your customers, and what they will receive as an ANI number is the CallXpress callback number. Once again, focusing all your incoming calls in a single location that you actually manage yourself. Because with this type of technology, you are much more likely to receive incoming calls because you've built the rules to get to you wherever you are, you also need some tools for helping you to process these. One of the big differences I find between people's attitudes towards email and telephone calls is they consider email a much safer communications medium because they can look at that message and decide whether or not they want to process it at any given time. Whereas with a phone call, once you answer that call and connect with your caller, you've pretty much committed to handling whatever that incident is going to be. Once again, with single number reach and routing calls through CallXpress, you can have interactive call screening. What that means is when someone calls that number, first thing the system does is prompts them to speak their name. It then goes to your rules engine, figures out how to contact you, tries the various numbers on your list, and when you answer that call, it presents you with options besides just answering the call. Now, once you know the identity of that call, there's a pretty good chance you know what you want to do with that call. And it might be just the call you're waiting for, and you can say accept and be connected immediately to that caller. And if that's more important than what you're currently doing, then that's the correct choice. You might also, for whatever reason, based on the content of the call, want to accept and record the call, and that recorded call actually goes in your voicemail as a message. You might want to reject that call, which will send it straight to voicemail. Perhaps this is a very lengthy subject you're going to have to discuss with the caller, and you're about ready to go into a meeting. Likewise, you might know that there's someone else that could help that caller, so you could transfer that call to another system user without ever answering the call. During this entire process, the caller is unaware that you're making these decisions. And then your last option is to actually acknowledge the call. With the interactive call screening piece and the acknowledge feature, you actually can send back to the caller a short message stating basically your expectations. And you can see in this instance, John has called in to Sandra, and Sandra can't take the call, but wishes to record a brief message that John will hear. So she records her acknowledgement message, and then she's able to go back to whatever she's doing. John hears that message and is given options of leaving a message for Sandra, trying another person, or simply waiting for that callback. A copy of that acknowledgement message goes into Sandra's mailbox as a reminder, and when she gets out of her meeting and logs into her system, she'll hear that message, and by simply saying call back, she'll build the connection call back to John, and she'll be able to take care of that. What this means is, probably for the first time, you can now decide on whether or not a call is more or less important than what you're already doing. And that's a powerful productivity tool, and it also allows you to take the calls you need to take while deflecting the other calls until a later time. Now, of course, we have the mobile phone, we have the voice messaging system, and mixed right in with that we have the PBX. And now we have a case where we really have some contention among devices. This happens mostly when you're traveling in and out of your office. And as an example, you're driving in to your office, you answer a call on your mobile phone, you're talking as you walk into the building, you realize this is going to be a long conversation, and you really don't want to hold the mobile phone up that whole time. So when you get to your desk, issuing a few simple speech commands or data commands on your mobile device, you can have that call moved from the mobile device to your office phone. And the reverse is true. You might be in the middle of a long call and decide you have to leave in order to get out in time to make another appointment. So you can simply hit a few buttons, speak a few commands, whatever you need to do, and that call's moved to your mobile device, and now you can go about your business moving. So fixed mobile convergence not only lets you support all these devices, but it lets you move calls back and forth between them as appropriate. And of course, unified messaging on mobile devices is perhaps the UC app that's been around the longest. The ability to get your email messages came very early in mobile devices. Very powerful tool. The number of people who check their email on a regular basis on their mobile device is extremely high. And of course, with unified messaging, that same message store can show you your voice messages and even your fax messages. And that's a very powerful tool. Once again, imagine the scenario of coming out of a long meeting. You bring up your mobile device and a quick look, and you can see what your status is, and you can focus on which issues are the most important. From CallXpress's point of view, we're really agnostic about where you want to store those messages. We support a single message store where all the messages are stored on the email system. And in that case, your email client will show you all of your messages on your mobile device. We also support client or dual store unified messaging. And this is a version where you leave your voice and fax messages on their own respective servers and your email messages on your email server. And with this version, we provide other tools that give you access to your voice and fax messages from your mobile device. So once again, whatever environment it is you want, we can support that in the unified messaging world, and we can support that on your various mobile devices. Probably one of the most requested features right now in unified messaging is voicemail to text. The concept of having all your voice messages turned in basically to text-based email messages and made available to you on your email clients, it's a very, very compelling story. Imagine yourself sitting in a meeting, and you really can't be listening to your voicemail messages, but as you're monitoring your email system on your mobile device, you now will actually see the textual content of those messages. And we have a number of providers that we work with that you can set up CallXpress to forward your voice messages to the provider, and they will transcribe them and forward them back as emails with a copy of the recorded message as well. So for those times when it's not handy for you to be putting the phone up to your ear and playing messages, you still can keep in touch and understand the basic message content. We're not going to go into much detail on the speech interface, but it's certainly a powerful part of our message strategy and our mobile strategy as well. We have a very powerful speech-driven front-end automated attendant, and this is a key element in that single number reach we talked about, where by answering the call and simply prompting the caller to speak your name, we get around the use of a directory or them having to know any special numbers for you, and it makes that single number much, much easier to use. We also have a free or a full hands-free voice user interface, and this voice user interface allows the user to get in and play their messages and send messages and do all the things they could do with the DTMF interface, but it's now totally hands-free, which is not only safer in many circumstances, but it also supports state and local safety laws. And what this does is it allows you to convert previously unproductive driving time into very productive work time. We have a number of web clients that are very handy for mobile workers. The primary one is Web Phone Manager, and this is a client that's deployed on a typical web server, and it allows a user both to configure their mailbox and in certain configurations to access their voice and fax messages, all from any web connection. So they can view their messages, they can play them, they can view their faxes, they can forward them to other system users, and they can also use that same client to set their notification and presence settings, record their greetings, etc. What this really does is it eliminates the need for customers having to remember the DTMF codes for those features that they don't use on a regular basis. One of the things we're the most excited about at AVST today are our new mobile unified communication clients. What we've done is we've created a set of powerful UC applications built as native clients that work on the more popular mobile devices today. And today we're in the process of releasing applications for BlackBerry, iPhone, and Android. And what these are actual true apps you would download from the App Store. And as a CallXpress user, once you've downloaded this app, you now on your mobile device have the ability to control your availability settings, to access your messages, to change your greetings and your system settings, to access your system phone book for making phone calls and forwarding messages. And basically what this does is it extends the things you have at your desktop in a normal environment out to your mobile device. Perhaps the most powerful application of that is how it handles incoming calls. We saw the interactive call screening from the telephone user interface, where you can answer the phone, be told who's calling, and make choices on how to process the call. Now imagine extending that out to your mobile device. Someone calls into CallXpress, speaks your name in the directory, and your call rules say you want your call sent to your mobile phone, but you have the device equipped with the mobile application. Instead of transferring that call, it's going to actually use the data channel to pop up a window and say you have a call. You'll see who the call's from. It'll have the ANI number, your contacts users' names, the system users' names, and based on that same information, just like with call screening, you can decide how to process the call. And you have the same options. You can accept the call, in which case CallXpress will forward that call onto that mobile device, not across the data channel, which incurs some fairly serious charges if you have the wrong kind of data plan, and also has some bandwidth restrictions that we didn't want to deal with, but it'll actually send it as a mobile call to that device, and you'll connect and you'll be able to have that conversation. You can also do the same thing and accept that call and record it. You can reject it, in which case that caller goes to voicemail, transfer it to another user, or acknowledge. That same acknowledge feature would let you actually record an acknowledgement message, hang up, and that caller will hear that message and be given other options. So once again, if you imagine somebody in a meeting and they have the device and they basically can't take normal calls, this lets them know what calls are coming in, and if an important call comes in, they can take that call and step out, or they can acknowledge the call, or they can transfer that call to some other user. If you look at these applications, what you're seeing is just the latest set of very focused communications applications from a company that's been doing nothing but these kind of applications for 30 years. We're a very tightly focused group. All we work on are a single set of unified communications solutions. We aren't dedicated to any single environment. We basically build our product so it'll go into any environment. And we don't have a lot of different applications to work on, so every day everyone at AVST wakes up and tries to make the mobile experience, the messaging experience, the call processing experience the best that it can be. We have about 15 million users out there who rely on AVST every day, and the kind of references that you really want to see will easily be available for you. And you can count on us not only to be the leader as we are today, based on voice reports, Gartner, whichever metric you want to use, we are in the very top of the applications company that do what we do, but you can count on us to move ahead with new applications on a consistent basis, probably 2 or 3 software releases a year that deliver this new functionality. I want to take a quick second to thank you. Hopefully you found some information that was useful. If you have questions, you can certainly contact us at info@avst.com, and we'll be happy to get back and answer any of your questions. And also at the avst.com website, you can find a list of ongoing seminars similar to this one, where we'll talk about the unified communications challenges and what we think some of the CallXpress opportunities are to help you solve those challenges. Thank you.